Oh, Debug's saying a few things.
You are watching Father Fish. Now please enjoy the video.
One more time.
You are watching Father Fish. Now please enjoy the video.
In the morning. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that make fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish.
Hi there, AJ.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Living the dream.
Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that make fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish.
I keep messing with the lighting.
Goodness sakes, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I want to dance to that music every time.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, I haven't danced in years. I don't think I can anymore.
Don't say that. If you can't dance, then you can't go to the crick. Is that how you pronounce it? The crick?
The crick, right? The crick.
The crick?
Crick in my neck. Yeah, it's true, isn't it? That's true. Oh, EJ, nice to have you here. Good to be with you again.
Yeah, it's good to have you back.
We have a new friend called Leonard. And Leonard's waiting for us to bring him up here so we can introduce him. Leonard showed up on our Discord channel a few days ago and started playing expert, answering all kinds of questions. So I said, whoa, I got to see who this guy is.
Bring him up then.
So yeah, I've been chatting with him, and he's a chiropractor who's been doing fish for about 2 years. There he is. Debug this.
Hey,
Leonard, nice to have you with us.
Nice to be here.
Now, you were saying you posted pictures of a bunch of tanks on Discord, but you've moved, and did I understand that you've broken them all down?
I've broken them all down except for the one with the black angel fish that you saw, the veil-tailed angels.
Oh, okay. That's a neat tank. So if you want to know what we're talking about, you need to go over to Discord and check it out.
I want to see those. I don't think I've seen those.
You just posted them this afternoon.
Oh, that explains it.
I'll try to drop them again. Let's see if I can do that.
My favorite angels in the entire world are those black veil-tail angels.
They're a great angelfish.
Yeah, I like them better than the koi. I like them better than the classic. I like them better than the platinum white. I don't know. It's just something about them. That look, it just
They are stunning, aren't they?
Yes.
Let's see. Which I guess I can post in the photos and video section so that everybody can look at it.
I'm still messing with this lighting.
A crick in the neck. This is
classic line. Here I am trying.
Right.
Here I am trying to
Right.
see if we can't see if there's any new lingo. So,
Right.
Florida is very, Maryland's very different from Florida.
Well, it is. Hello, Nella, Isabella.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is here?
Oh,
There we go.
debug. They just
Aquarius.
equated you to Elon Musk.
I mean, if I get compared to Old Muskie, I'll take it. So
I consider that a compliment. The guy is
Yeah.
smart.
Let's see. We got to turn debug this blue. We'll get you a wrench. Oh, Mr. B, CPDs. Hello, hello, Fanatical. Joshua Boone, Gina's Reef, Crystal, Grenwood, Chris Trapp, Chris
Craig.
Doniger. What a mob. What a crew. Nice to have you all here. Maryland weather is lovely. I'm enjoying it more than Florida. It's a little cold. It's not like, dying from the heat. It's Old Bay seasoning from Maryland. You betcha, Chris. I remember when I was young going down to the Inner Harbor when McCormick Spice Company they had their plant at the Inner Harbor. Oh, from as far back as the 1800s. And you could smell the cinnamon when you walked downtown. They've since moved away. They're no longer. I think they're condos where their plant was. But yes, Old Bay seasoning is a Maryland favorite, made by McCormick, which is still around. Sunset Jen, hello, Sunset Jen. So, Leonard, you're doing dirted tanks. What got you started on dirted tanks of all?
Yes, and how long ago?
It's approaching 2 years. I guess I started it during the lockdowns when I was taking my I guess my daughter was only 6 or 8 months old at the time. I was taking her to the pet store almost every day just so that she could look at fishes, and she loved it. So I said, "Oh, okay, I'll get a 29-gallon and I'll start something up at home." And I started looking up different things, and naturally, I consider myself almost a lazy person. I don't want to do a lot of work.
Amen to that.
So looked into dirted tanks, and there were some interesting things about faster plant growth, and then I saw that I could sell the plants online. I could sell them on Craigslist and things like that. And then I started looking into different fish, and I started looking about different capacities, and I didn't want to run CO2 and mess with all of that and have extra expenses. So I just started up a dirted tank, and it took off.
Where did you get the inspiration for a dirted tank?
So I was watching Foo the Flower Horn at the time.
I know.
And I was looking up for fish videos on YouTube for my daughter to watch when, I'm prepping food or something like that, so she's not having a meltdown.
Right.
And it was just one of those videos where it's classical music and just fish. There's not flashing lights or anything, and it was perfect.
Yes.
And he was doing dirted tanks.
Yeah, he was my gateway drug too.
Yeah, and once I started selling trimmings week after week and selling fish that I was breeding, I ended up buying another tank. So I bought another 20 high, and then with that 20 high, I was breeding plecos, and then with those plecos in that dirted tank, I was selling even more trimmings. Then I bought a 75 with a standoff of all of that, and then I was breeding mystery snails in that. And then I posted a photo on Discord where I had, probably 500 mystery snails inside of that dirted tank. And I was selling out every week, and that funded my whole hobby.
Really?
So I funded it all off of a 129-gallon tank.
Nice.
And it's a good hobby to get into, just to burn some time, and it's very therapeutic.
Oh, I agree with that.
Chris Trapp said he thinks Foo just ended his channel.
Foo just ended, I guess, one of the tanks. He didn't end the whole channel. He wrapped up the dirted tank.
he wrapped it up. It was like almost 3 years, and then his last post on it was literally 3 hours of from start to finish the entire video, and that is what I watched when I first got inspired to. It was I mean, I'm literally watching all 3 hours. It was, oh, I think it might even been closer to 4 of this journey, and the entire time I'm enjoying the ecosystem, the simplicity and yet the complexity of it, the simplicity of the upkeep and the complexity of just all the different things you can see in an ecosystem and the dynamics. And yeah, best 3 hours of my life spent. I can think of dozens of movies I've watched with my kids that I want my hours back. Like, I want my 2 hours back, but not that one.
Yeah, Craig said he got 2 million views on that video.
Oh yeah, he deserved it. Absolutely deserved it. I started watching a couple of his other stuff too. He's got one where he attempts to grow a sweet potato and various other vegetables out of a tank.
Right.
I think it was a beta tank. And there's just there's other little things along the way, but that the one with the sparkling gourami, man, that was the way to go.
Jimmy P, Whip's World, hey guys. Renwood, Craig Duniger, Skull Aquatics. Who else is there? Red Laser. Hey, Red Laser. Good to see you guys.
I'm curious, what kind of plants were you selling? Were you able to grow and to sell?
So I could grow most anything. Even your highlight demanding Rotalas, like the Rotala H Raw or Rotala Vietnams and things like that. Or
you could grow you could grow them without the high tech.
So I did high lighting. I invested in a higher wattage light, but I didn't use CO2.
Right.
And you don't really need CO2 in a dirt tank.
You don't at all. In point of fact, the dirt creates far more CO2 than a mechanical device could.
And I guess at the end of the day, all of those plants were great to look at, but they didn't sell worth beans. The plants that sold like wildfire, it was just your straight val, your corkscrew val, your wisteria, your water sprite, and your dwarf sedge. Those are plants that anybody could stick into their tank and it'd take off.
Oh yeah, I've got tons of those.
So you sell that to anybody. You say, okay, you can't kill this plant unless you have a goldfish or something that's actively trying to destroy the plant. You're not going to kill it. And you're going to see growth, and you're going to see, on the valley, you're going to see 3 inches a day, depending on your depending on your tank setup. And people go, what, 3 inches a day? I said, yeah, it'll be great.
So this is a 75 gallon, and I planted some val on one end, and the other day I trimmed it because I'd purposely been ignoring it for a while. Hello, my lizard is on my head, and I'm literally, one of my trimmings of this, sorry, lizard on the head. Here, say hi to the folks. It stretched beyond that. Like, that's how long it was. It stretched up, and then the way that leaf went, it was, I should have saved it. It was pretty incredible how long it was. I guess it was a jungle val. Yeah, those things I guess apparently grow really, really long, and
they're great for flowers. If you get a jungle of val and you're breeding fish and you want to do where you're raising them up in the same tank, nothing's better than val, because val, the parents don't like necessarily swimming through it to try to hunt after predate after their own fry, and the fry just stay on that little tiny thin water layer on top.
Oh.
So you'll just see fry dancing on top of those leaves all day long.
Oh, I should look for that. I mean, there's a lot of things in here I'm sure are wanting to breed, but it's everything in here will eat baby fish. I can promise you that.
I think if you get about a 2-inch food web in there, you'll start having babies.
A 2-inch food web?
Yeah, about 2 inches of leaves.
Oh, okay. I have leaves, but and I have humus, but I purposely put it in the back of the tank because at this the purpose of this is for aesthetics, but I still want to continue to have health. Now,
Yeah,
the one breeding project that I am attempting that I haven't really touched in a while does have leaf litter on the top. So, real quick,
Jimmy
yeah, hold
Jimmy
on
P
one
wants
second.
to know the proper way to trim a valve. The proper way to trim a valve, Jimmy P, is to not trim a valve.
Well, I'll run counter to that. If you want your valve to focus more on spreading and growing rather than just growing taller, you trim it short and it'll shoot out more runners. So you'll get more valve in the long run. And you can stimulate growth that way. It's kind of like just trimming your yard.
Oh,
So it'll use
yeah,
less energy on shooting up and more energy on shooting out. So
makes
you get higher
sense.
propagation rates.
Father Fish, can you answer this one? Gren can't get water sprite not to melt. 3 times
I
now it's
saw
died.
that. I don't know why it would. And it's probably the most prolific plant I've ever grown. Do you have other plants that are doing well?
Well, I guess in my experience, water sprite, more so than water wisteria, water sprite is it can be temperature dependent. So I've had water sprite in my tanks where it just stalled. It stalled over
Might
the
be
winter
too
time.
hot.
It's
Too
stalled the
hot,
what
you
was
think, or too cold?
It was too cold. It stalled over the winter time. I didn't adjust my heater over the winter, and as soon as I bumped up my heater about 3 degrees, it exploded. So
huh.
might be that, or it might be just too young of a tank. And
What
it,
at what temperature were you keeping it at?
the goal was 78 to 80, depending on the tank. So the
Okay.
75, I was definitely keeping at 80 degrees, just
Okay.
because that was my grow out tank for everything that I was breeding.
Okay.
So
So you kept it at 80 degrees and you had no problem with it, but then at one point you were keeping it lower and the sprite just stalled. It sounds like
Water might
fairly.
be too. Water might be too soft.
You think the water might be too soft? I was
it could be
having
that you have water softener.
I do occasionally run into so lately I've been kind of combating some melting in some of my tanks, and I haven't quite figured out what's going on, but I think a lot of it has to do with the lighting,
Hmm.
hence why I'm having issues right now. Hello. So I don't know if it's because I can't seem to find a balance. Either it's too high lighting and I get explosive algae growth, which, by the way, thank you for the flagfish, fatherfish. Those things are helping me quite a bit. Or I'm not putting in enough lighting and the plants start melting a bit. So I'm these are in the smaller tanks where it's less forgiving. And so, those are where I really try to find a balance in the little microcosm of our beautiful little fish world.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, I will be visiting every local aquarium fish store in 100-mile radius and looking forward to it. There's a new one in Dover, Delaware, a cichlid store that the North Jersey Club recommended. I want to get up and see that.
Mm.
I'm also
Ren,
checking out every creek, stream, pond, and puddle. So trying to find my way around the local water environment.
okay, so Gren's going to try to play with the temperature, it sounds like. Yeah. We've got an emergency right now with Snake. He says, she, I think, help my beautiful male blue acara is dragging his tail while he swims. I don't know what's wrong with him.
Well, come on over to Discord, Snake. Let's take a look at it and see if we can help you over there. We'll be there around 9:30, but there are folks there right now that can take a look and begin to help you with that.
Yeah, I'm actually going to drop the link right now.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I'd say maybe a swim bladder thing. And I've always used Epsom salt with pretty good success with swim bladder issues.
With Epsom salt, yes.
Yeah.
There we go. I just dropped the link for Discord. There is a section in there for Q&A for fish emergencies. I've actually used it in the last week because I had ick on my neons, and I don't even know how they got in there, actually. But they were in there, and I had to deal with them, and I haven't lost a single one, and the ick's gone away because I did exactly what Father Fish told me to do. Oh, and thank God for that, because it's, you know, that's my masterpiece tank where I found the ick in.
Right.
Yeah.
Joshua, I broke everything down except the 40, except the 20-year-old tank. I'm going to start over on everything, and I'll video everything as I do it. I haven't been able to start yet because I'm still unpacking. But as soon as I get that done, get a tank moved in here, I'm going to put the 29s on it, and that's what I'll be starting with. So we'll be setting up everything brand new. And I am going to do saltwater. I'm in Chesapeake Bay country, half an hour from the Atlantic Ocean. So I'm going to wind up with saltwater.
There we go. So tannins are too high, melt my hornwort, I think.
No, what? Tannins?
No.
No.
Maybe
no,
it's
no. Tannins are nutrition. Tannins are not going to melt anything.
Mm-hmm. Snake said he fed his Arcara organic peas so far. So, you know, so far so good.
Well, if it's eating, you know,
that's a good thing.
Try some garlic. Smash up fresh garlic and see if he'll eat that. That'll clear up internal bacteria.
And I'd like to add to that, emphasize on the smashing the garlic. If you chop it, it's not as effective because garlic has a defensive mechanism that when it's chewed on, it releases an enzyme called allicin, and that's the main, I guess, nutritional and immune boosting factor that you have to go for. So it actually has to be smashed. If you're just cutting it, you don't get it.
That's good to know. I actually bought some garlic as a just in case. Well, I mean, with the ick in my tank, I haven't put garlic in it because the ick was a parasite, as Father Fish and I discussed. But just in case, I had garlic on the ready. But
it's a great prophylactic. You know, you can use it any time. But it does need
some
to be
bloodworms in garlic.
The liquid garlic is no good.
Yeah, no, it had to be. And that's the thing, actually, because I also cook, and there's a huge taste difference between freshly mashed or cut up garlic as opposed to something that's already in a liquid form or even frozen. It just there's a difference. So I felt that it would apply just on a taste level. I felt it would apply in terms of, you know, what would be the most effective, if you will.
Correct. Correct.
Joshua wants to know what's to come of your natural saltwater tanks.
I know. Well, as I said, I broke everything down. So it's all gone, and we're going to start brand new with everything. Nala says, hello, EJ.
Yes. Hi, Nala. I replied to the chat. Oh, we have a question. Yes. Chris wants to know how many tanks does Elon Musk have?
So when I was in my apartment, I had 8 tanks going. Now just moved into a house, so setting up my first fish room, and it's a dedicated fish room. It's got a dehumidifier. It's got I've got it all plumbed for an air pump. I'm still looking for one. And I've got 18 tanks on that rack right now. And I've got
you've got it
the 90
bad.
PM
A nice
upstairs.
rack, yeah.
Yeah. I have I have 3 display tanks. One of them is a 5-gallon bowl, where I have my jerk of a beta. Beta? I'm just going to own it. Beta. 75 is one of them. The 29-gallon, which has my pea puffer tank, is another. And I actually went on a different live stream and showed it off because there's a huge debate about pea puffers, and people most of all want to know how to keep pea puffers. And I'm quite proud of what I've been able to accomplish within this 29-gallon of this ecosystem and food web. But then I've lost count of, and I'm almost afraid to count of how many other tanks or that I have. I have 2 racks. I have a bunch of stuff outside because it's not just, I have like, I have outside where I grow plants, I have fish in there. I have a 10-gallon where it's my Scarlet Bettis breeding project. I have a couple of tanks where I have Daphnia growing in, but they're really no bigger than a 6-quart shoebox. I have this Wallstead bowl that I only put shrimp in, and I was going to break down because I was done with the experimentation of it, but then I looked in it the other day and there's tons of baby shrimp and there's tons of like little white things darting across the and I haven't done anything with it. Like I just simply let it get some sun every once in a while, and add more water. It's just a basic little bowl it's just teeming with life, and there's baby shrimp in there and lots of other things that I can't identify. And so I've just sort of let it be, and every once in a while pull plants out of there.
Hey, Ariana, nice to see you.
I'm going to lose myself in the comments in the chat. I'm so sorry.
Melted butter.
Yeah.
T-Bone is here. I didn't say hello to T-Bone. Hey, T-Bone.
Scott, yes, I guess I do have multiple tank syndrome. Part of the reason why I'm reluctant to really count is because then I'd have to be honest with myself about how many I have, and then that would be a discussion I'd have to have with my husband. And he's already asked me if I'm brave enough to show my therapist all the tanks that I have, which I am very brave enough. I believe in full disclosure. So, yeah. It's I love it. I love it. I do want to be, when you're living in a space, you want to make sure that the people you live with are thrive. And so you can't just fill the whole house like a hoarder, although I know it's been done. But at the same time, I really love having a lot of different tanks, and because of the system that I use, it's really, really low maintenance. I don't bother doing water changes. If I do water changes, it's mostly for one to tweak one thing or another. I want to add something.
Yeah, Snake wants to add a bristle nose to his African cichlid tank. Won't be a problem at all. The Africans are not going to bother him, and he's not going to bother them. It's got 15 tanks, all father fish deep substrate. Bravo, nice. Snake.
Well done, sir.
Right?
I can't quite figure out what Snake's icon is. It looks like a person who's holding, I can't figure it out. Is that like some sort of weapon? Because that's cool. Like,
you're probably holding a snake. I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
Holding something.
Moving on.
What are you holding in your icon?
Yeah. I would love to talk to Gren about tanks, Ariana. I have no idea what I should talk about.
Whitefish salad. Right.
Let's see here. So you've just to name a few, I think you mentioned debug that you generally keep fish, you move fish in and out every 3 months. So could you name some of the fish you've kept?
Pretty much anything that I'm breeding, once it gets to size, then it goes in the tank. So actually one of my favorites was the Norman lamp-eye killifish.
Oh, really?
Really phenomenally easy fish to keep and breed. And the thing is that's so stunning about them is that if you put them in a really heavily planted tank with low lights and a dark background, it looks, I guess their eyes glow just so perfectly.
Yeah,
It
that's
looks like
right.
little tiny spirits in a graveyard almost. It just looks like spirits wandering through the forest.
What looks like what in a graveyard?
It
Spirit?
looks like spirits, just like little
Oh,
tiny blue spirits. It's just little tiny sprites.
Oh, brilliant.
And
Okay.
they are a stunning fish, and they're really underappreciated because you can't take a picture and make them look good. They're impossible to look good in a picture.
Oh, because they move so fast?
I've tried videos. I've tried different cameras. My wife is a camera freak, and she's got some of the priciest cameras out there, and I can't get the eyes to shine on camera. But that
really?
fish is such a stunner, especially once you get a school of, say, 60, 70 of them.
60,
And they're
70?
popping in and out, and you just see these flashing blue lights, and it's just their eyes. Because
How
they're a
big are
great
they?
fish plain.
Wait. 60 or 70 lamp-eye Achilles. How big are these things? And how?
They're about an inch,
Oh,
inch and a quarter.
Okay.
Little tiny things, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And they're super friendly. Some killifish, you throw them in with shrimp, and there go 300 shrimp, and they're just gone.
Right.
Except the lamp-eye Achilles, I kept them in with crystal shrimp, everything, and they don't touch it. They're just happy.
Gran wants to know how big your fish room is.
The newest fish room, I think, is a 9x9, pretty much a closet.
That's a good size.
And I'm able to fit a couple of
how to pack it, if you know how to pack and store things and organize,
Right,
that's plenty.
right.
That's good stuff right there.
Yeah. Right now it's the figuring out the plumbing for the dehumidifier, because I've got to empty that out twice a day so far.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Hey Ray, nice to see you. Put a drain on it.
I've got a pump, and I'm trying to lead it to the sump in the basement.
You might be able to use the water.
I was looking into that. I was looking into it, and it's a condensate. It's not a clean distillation per se. So there's a lot of microorganisms and mold and pathogens that get picked up inside of that kind of form of distillate.
Not all bad.
Nothing that the fish aren't used to, but
really,
I've been thinking about it for sure.
Yeah, try it in your sump. See what it does.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
melted butter just set up in a Desibarb 29-gallon father fish style tank. Only a circulating pump aimed up 45 degrees at surface for choppy waves on surface. No filter, filled with an Acris valve and 4 inches of sand. Perfect water.
Nice.
Sounds great. Sounds wonderful.
I love
it. Hey, J-Dog. Nice to see you. J-Dog is a good friend. He is my computer website manager from Bradenton.
Father Fish, have you attempted to keep Daphnia before? I'm curious.
Oh, sure.
How was that experience?
I've done it a number of different ways. I had a vat, an outdoor vat, about a 60-gallon vat that I kept them in. I found I had to keep it covered. I had to keep mosquitoes out of it. I was reading an article recently that said that Daphne feed on mosquito babies.
I actually just read that same thing.
Yeah, but adult mosquito or large larvae feed on Daphne. So it's a two-way street. I found I had to feed them. If I fed them, I would get a flush of growth. If I didn't, it would go down. But I could harvest every day. It's
What
just a
about?
matter of having it's a matter of having a large enough container.
Okay,
I found that an aerator did not help. They preferred still water.
and that was outdoors.
That was
So
outdoor.
what about indoors?
I think a tray is going to work better. And if you can feed green water,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think what else was I feeding? Spirulina powder.
Spirulina. Yeah, I have spirulina, but I found that green water is really the only way to go.
It's preferable, yeah.
Yeah.
They'll clean it up in a couple of days, but
Yes.
they'll spawn as well.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, right now is the time to go Daphnia hunting, right? You go on a hike, you find a deep enough puddle after a good rainy day, wait a couple of days, and you go in with a fine fish net, and you'll harvest a few thousand
Yeah,
Daphnia.
absolutely. Yep. And you
Nice.
only need a few.
Oh, yeah. I've managed to set up my main Daphnia tank again, and so that's good. And they're already going, they're going full force at it. I because it's been so hot here in Texas, I had a Daphnia tank going outside in my green water, and they even started clearing it up. And then one day it just got so hot, the temperature within that little green water tank just couldn't regulate itself. It wasn't big enough to be able to withstand the heat, and so the water, and also where my balcony is, it faces completely due east, and
Huh.
right now this time of year it's
It's hot.
it's
Right.
hot. It's really hot. So because of that, I'm being very cautious about what I keep living out there right now. But because I even tried to hatch baby brine shrimp the other day, last week, and none of the eggs hatched because the hatchery that I attempted to do went up to like over 90.
That shouldn't affect it.
Didn't it? It
Uh,
it did. It did.
Melted butter. Would you recommend raw ground beef for medium large fish, or chicken and fish only? Do not feed ground beef. Ground beef contains fat. The fat is not digestible. It will pass through the fish and it will create an oil slick on the surface of the tank, which will block oxygen and CO2 from being able to interchange. It's an extremely dangerous thing to do. Chicken and fish are fine. Uh, Chicken fat, fish fat are digestible by fish. Animal fat is not. Isabella is fighting mosquitoes. She's camping. Sounds fun.
Oops, sorry. Didn't mean to add that to the stream. Sorry. Uh, sorry.
Ariel wants to know what Daphnia is. Daphnae, Ariana. There we go. There it is right there.
Yeah.
There are about 5 or 6 different species. They range in size to about 1/8 of an inch, all the way down to probably a 32nd of an inch. So they're small. They're freshwater, um, um, shrimp-like creature that are wonderful fish food.
You can buy them, but not apparently, you can buy them, and I've never bought them online before, but like Debug This says, it is the time to go out and find them. Whereabouts of the country? Yeah, whereabout of the country that you live?
I'm in Missouri right now, in St. Louis.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yep, they're out there. I haven't looked for them in Texas yet. Now, there is a beautiful park with a man-made. It's a man-made lake, but if you build it, they will come. There's all sorts of life all around there. I want to get in there and see if I can't try to find some Daphnia on there. Of course, people around me will probably want to know why anybody's digging in a creek in the inner city, but creek in the inner city. But I mean, at this point, it's the inner city. You see all sorts of different things every day, so they might as well just get used to one more thing.
I'll try to look for areas where there's lots of leaf litter.
Yes.
Okay.
Where the water is, I guess, stillest, because I remember
I know
as a kid.
exactly where. I know exactly the one. I know exactly, and there's also a lot of snapping turtles there too, so that'll be interesting.
We got QEJ. Oh, that's EJ. That's you. That's your. I'm just looking at the bottom. I'm sorry. I'm.
Yeah,
being
it's just
confused.
me. Yeah.
There.
All right, everybody's talking to each other. Oh yeah, so Ariana, definitely look into it. Now the problem with Daphnia is that there's just so much online because the tanks tend to crash. Doesn't matter what you do, the tanks tend to crash after about 2 months, and I still haven't quite figured out why that is. I mean, my tanks are doing fine, except when I got Hydra in them, that kind of killed the whole culture. But I'm still like trying to play with what circumstances do they thrive in. That's why I have probably about 5 or 6 of these Daphnia 6-quart containers, and I'm trying different things with them, and essentially, different types of water. I'm not trying whether it's the airline tube, no airline tube. One point I had them outside in green water, and there was like a sponge filter in there that was going very, very slowly, and it didn't affect the green water at all. That's how slowly it was. And I mean, they were
Bunny Viper wants to know where to find scuds.
Oh.
If you will, creek, pond, a creek is best. Pick up stones and shake them in a bucket of water. The scuds will be on the stone and they'll drop off. Plants the same way. Just shake them in water and they'll fall off.
Debug this. Do you go out and hunt for live foods?
Yeah, again, because I'm lazy. So I get to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Everything about my fish keeping style is lazy. I don't want to change water. I don't want to scrub. I don't want to breed and have different cultures going and have to maintain them. So if I get to take my kids to a park or take my kids on a hike and I get to just take a fish net and fill up a water bottle with a bunch of scuds or Daphnia, then I'm good to go.
Where do you find the scuds?
Like Father Fish was saying, you just find a pond, really just something that's muddy and stinky, and you pull up some plants by the roots and you shake them out in a mason jar, and then when you go home and the mud finally settles to the bottom, you'll see you got a couple hundred.
Yeah, I accidentally started culturing scuds. It was a complete and total accident. I had a muck bucket outside that I just put in like the grossest of the aquarium water, like usually the grossest, like the lower level ones, and all the dead plants. And I mean, I just started getting inundated with floaters. Oh my God. Duckweed, frog bit, and now I've got other floaters that I can't mention on live stream. And there's so much of it. So I just started throwing them all in a muck bucket because they get so dense that they kind of start to rot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, one day I don't know why I kept it in my balcony, but I started looking at it, and it's the grossest thing ever when you think about it. Like, here I am pouring over, like looking in close, fine detail over a 5-gallon bucket, but these things started moving. I'm like, what the heck are these things? And lo and behold, there were scuds. Internet, Google search, they're scuds. And so I don't know how they came. I don't know how I got them. I just found them in a muck bucket.
Yeah, they come in anyway. Any leaves, anything at all, they'll come in on.
Mm-hmm. It looks like you're owning the Elon Musk title.
That's funny.
No, seriously, own it. I think the guy, I think it's official. He officially bought Twitter for $41 billion or something like that.
Did that go through?
Yeah, it did. They announced it, but of course, these things take months. So it could go back and forth. That they still have to prove a bunch of stuff. Yeah. Bunny says she had scuds come in with driftwood. Yep.
To build off of your floating plant problem, if anybody has problems with duckweed or salvinia or whatever it is, and you know that you can't get rid of certain things through normal avenues, find someone that has chickens, because someone that has chickens is you just put chicken wire over a watering trough and put a board on one side. The duckweed and all of the other floaters will keep on moving to one side, and the chickens will peck through the chicken wire, and it's loaded with calcium for them. It makes really thick, strong shells for the eggs, and the chicken farmer will love you because that's a free food source for them. Constant free food.
There are a lot of people who keep, not in my neighborhood, but there are a lot of people who keep chickens in the inner city, and they're not supposed to. I know those neighborhoods. No worries.
We've got a rooster about 50 feet away that's all day long, crowing all day long. He doesn't do it in the morning. He does it every 5 minutes from about 11 o'clock to about 5 o'clock.
What was I going to say? I totally forgot. Please continue. Roosters. Yes. Roosters. Oh, I'm about ready to leave the inner city. I'm just so, I need more green. I'm about to look up scuds for you, my dear.
Right.
I'm about to look up scuds. It is then. Now, the thing is that these scuds can look different. Like they come in different colors depending on where you are in the world. I personally have scuds like all different colors and even different sizes.
Hey, Daniken.
What kind of colors are you talking about?
Like white, even like a green, dark gray, just like various shades, almost like at one point, almost like a reddish, but essentially, yeah.
All I've got are this clear white, and that's all I've got.
No, I've got different colors, so I don't know if they come in from different parts of the country or
they're different species.
Yeah, I mean, essentially they're all the same thing. They're a crustacean. They are just like shrimp. They're born. They carry their shrimp. They carry the shrimplets or the scudlets, and then they release them when they're ready. Their breeding is very interesting because what often ends up happening is that if there's scuds, like basically the male and the female, when the female molts, the male gets a chance to attach onto her, and so they just hang out literally together like those love bugs that come through seasonally.
That's right.
Until she molts again, and then he's able to detach himself from her, and then she holds on to those shrimplets for a little while, and then she molts again, and then her entire body explodes with shrimplets, and and that's how they reproduce, and it is so hard to kill them.
It's true of all crustacea. All crustacea do that. Shrimp, crabs, they all breed the same way.
Wait. Male, my cherry shrimp, I've never seen a male attach himself to a female.
I mean, they have to attach at some point.
Right, but I mean,
they don't stay stuck. I know what you're talking about. Scud. You'll see them.
Yeah. The length of time, though, with the scuds is maybe the length of time is longer. Hold on, I'm going to try to.
Male scuds are a little more generous. So.
Yeah.
Crabs will carry.
Nice? So
crabs will carry for days.
Oh yeah. So there's an example of two scuds together as one. But I have found scuds in like not even a millimeter in water, like basically like runoff and they're still like holding on to life. You know, they are very hard to kill. And I love releasing them into my pea puffer tank because they just love chasing them. And I thought at first that the scuds would be way too. I thought at first the scuds would be like too fast for the pea puffers. They get them. They get them.
Speaking of impossible to kill, Father Fish and I were having a talk about it before. Malaysian trumpets.
Yes.
So I had 2 flower pots that I was growing wisteria inside of my tanks, and I have Malaysian trumpets. I had them previously in my tanks. So I took the pots out, took them to the new house, and I'm just growing wisteria outside. And those pots have been outside unwatered for 10 days in 100-degree weather, direct sunlight all day long.
Right.
And only now are the Malaysian trumpets emerging.
Amazing.
They are such bulletproof creatures.
Oh, I love them. I've made sure to, when I set up my pea puffer tank, and I was like, okay, I want to try to create a snail culture before I put the pea puffers in, but I know that, you know, the ram's horns and the bladder snails and the pond snails are just going to get depleted more or less. I'm hoping that maybe they will be able to produce snail eggs, but I didn't have a huge amount I didn't have big expectations for their lives. But I made sure to put in Malaysian trumpet snails because I know that they bury into the sand substrate, and I figure they had a fighting chance. And I don't see them, but I know they're there because I don't see evidence of their shells.
And that's the thing with Malaysian trumpets and dirted tanks. Oh, go ahead.
This is Leonard is with us. Leonard is in Missouri. He is a chiropractor and a devotee of deep substrate dirted tanks.
Leonard,
we found him on Discord. Let's see, somebody was asking.
They found me wandering about.
Yeah. Apparently your next new name is D. Snyder. I don't even know who that is. So we've gone from Elon Musk to D. Snyder.
I've got to find D. Snyder. I'm looking this up.
Yeah.
Dirted Duck. I'll be home Sunday night earlier, and I will. I'll try to show the house then. It's dark now, so. Kenny
wants to see your house. So
we'll do it Sunday.
We'll do it Sunday. Okay.
Yeah.
Gina says that she's in Missouri as well. She runs a strictly saltwater pet store.
Oh.
Yeah. So I got to see some of her corals. Oh my goodness. Wait, how do I? Oh, okay, so D. Snyder's apparently some guy in Twisted Sister. I love Twisted Sister.
I looked at this D. Snyder, and I don't know what the relation is.
It's Twisted Sister. Oh, man. Yeah. Okay. Yes. All right. I know what you're talking about now. Okay, we're good. Look, man. I just like the songs. I mean, my pop culture education is sadly lacking. Most of it's visual. I don't even know a thing about names or anything like that. But I know fish, or at least I'm trying to. Yeah. Yes, Scott, we're not going to take it.
Pygmy seahorses.
Yeah.
I may yet get them again. We'll see.
So I did see, I put Malaysian trumpet snails in the 75, and last night I tend to throw in vegetables just to, I throw in like blanched vegetables, and I did that. And this morning when I got up to take a look at the tank, the vegetables are for the algae eaters, but the snails tend to come in and clean up after the leftovers. And if I get too much of a snail population, I just scoop them up with a net and I stick them in the pea puffer tank. Problem solved. But I saw this morning a couple of Malaysian trumpet snails for probably the first time since I put them in there. So that's exciting.
Little word of warning. So when it comes to blanching vegetables, and there's a big reason I only stick with canned vegetables now for my fish. because I understand what sources I'm getting them from. I had a friend, so
Mhm.
he was using organic peppers and he was changing up brands and he washed them thoroughly. He did a hydrogen peroxide soak for them to get off of any films or waxes, and
Huh.
then boiled them, gave them to his shrimp. It destroyed all of his shrimp colonies. One
What?
pepper cut among all of his tanks killed every single colony overnight. Now, these are organic peppers, and I had a similar experience when I was growing caterpillars in Florida for a while. Uh, GMO products are designed to naturally produce insecticides. They're spliced with different things that naturally produce their own insecticides.
Oh, you're
It's
kidding.
It'll
genetically
affect
enhanced.
crustaceans.
Yeah.
I can't get away from from this stuff. Oh
Yeah,
my
so
God.
I was growing monarch caterpillars, and for some reason they were really enjoying dill. So I had a huge dill tree, and they were just going to town on it. And I went and I bought some organic dill from the store, washed it, hydrogen peroxide rinse again, rinsed it, gave it to them. Within a few seconds, all of them were dead.
Wow.
So
I'll be honest with you. I haven't been giving them organic vegetables. I've just been giving them regular vegetables at the store. I rinse and I
mhm.
boil. And so far, I mean, I didn't even know about this.
Yeah, it's a gamble because we've been doing it for I guess about a year at this point, and he had gosh, 6 shrimp tanks that all had multi-thousand member colonies. And he said by the time he woke up in the morning, every single shrimp was dead.
Oh, I bet he was
Huh.
devastated.
My
So,
word.
Oh, devastated. Yeah, I don't want that to. Oh, well, why do you say canned then is the way to go?
I had good experience with canned food. At least
Hmm.
the ones that I was buying, even just something as simple as like Green Giant French cut green beans. Even though it's not organic, I never had any die-offs from it, and I know that they're going to get it from a consistent source every time because of the volume that they work with.
Huh.
Versus, if even if you go to Whole Foods or whatnot, their kale is going to come from a different spot every single time. You'll see some are coming from Mexico, some are coming from different places in the country. So
Hmm.
uh, I,
I
I
can,
used to grind up kale and give it to my snails
yeah,
all the time. So
I can
and
guarantee you that all of my vegetables come from Mexico.
yeah,
There's no question.
exactly.
And I mean, some of these guys from Mexico, let's just say that they're really involved with their farming techniques.
Isabella, was it maybe the hydrogen peroxide that did them in? No. I mean, hydrogen peroxide, once it's introduced to water, it quickly breaks down into just oxygen and water. So, uh, really, for a 10-minute soak in this just to break off any waxes or any odd pesticides that may have gotten on it, and to rinse them in water for another 10 minutes afterwards, the hydrogen peroxide wouldn't remain there. And it's literally a quarter cup per gallon. And I mean, hydrogen peroxide is not going to stay that long at those kinds of dilutions for a 3% solution.
Yeah,
So
unless you get a stronger solution.
yeah, and that stronger
Kevin,
stuff that'll burn your skin. So
really, Kevin collected magnolia leaves. Um, Scrub them and soak them. You want to put them in water. You don't need to scrub them particularly, but you want to get them deteriorating. If they are this time of year, they're unless you're getting last fall's leaves, they're green. You want to let them dry out first, then put them in water and let them begin to deteriorate. Then you can put them in your tank. You never want to put green leaves in a tank because it'll foul the tank.
Yeah, actually, I remember you were talking about that, and I found some dead azalea branches, azalea bush.
Yeah,
I found some dead ones, like dry, dead, brittle, dead, but I mean, not shit.
right. Yeah,
Yeah. And I'm planning to soak those for a while, but I thought they would make great spiderwood like hardscape, especially if I glue them all together.
Yeah, they look pretty cool.
I couldn't put a bed in there though in
I
that
don't
type
know
of
if there's
hardscape.
anything toxic about magnolia. You might
I
look it up.
I know that magnolia leaves are. I mean, I've used them. I've got magnolia
Okay.
leaves in there. I've got magnolia leaves in a couple of my other tanks as leaf litter. I think
So you
they're.
said magnolia. I'm not thinking magnolia. Yeah, magnolia is okay. I was
You're
thinking
thinking
something else.
azalea. Were you thinking
That's
azalea?
exactly right. It's
Okay.
exactly what I was thinking about. Was
Okay.
azalea. Yeah.
You know, I'm wondering about that too. I am going to look it up. I know that the general rule is nothing with pine or sap or
Right.
citrus, but I do know that I do know that people use I've heard of people, I know that some people even sell this hardscape where it's actually long dead azalea roots, the root
Oh,
system that's dried out. They
yeah.
I mean you dig that up and it dries out, you know, it's long and dead, you clean it off and people sell that as hardscape all the time.
Huh. So Isabella's going for a ride in her canoe.
That's
Well,
the way to
bon
do it.
voyage, Isabella. Sounds wonderful.
Ah, oh, they've been bleached in the sun. That's where I found them. Was
Yeah,
literally
exactly.
lying in the sun. So
Yeah.
the reason why I wanted to soak them is because I want them to now become more waterlogged.
Right. Right. I just
Yeah,
saw some the other day. Yeah, that's something that's common around here.
azaleas.
Yeah, there are a lot of
If
them
you
in Maryland.
if you dig up a few of them and let them like dry out in the sun for months, you could sell them for like $100 a pop, depending on how big they are. I'm not kidding, and people even pay shipping charges. You should see some of the hardscape that's in the local fish stores. I mean, it's crazy.
So, on a little side note with that, in the Missouri Aquarium Society over here, someone was doing that for a while and they got busted. Uh,
Oh,
Depending
busted.
on your state, you may or may not need certain licenses. So I think it was like a firewood harvesting license or something like that in
Huh.
order to sell woods in general. So just play it safe. If it's a small operation, I'm sure you could get away with it. But if you're going to start opening up an online store and you want to start advertising, just make sure that you've got all your T's crossed and your I's dotted.
Oh,
Amazing.
thank you,
Right.
voice of reason. And now it's like, oh, voice of reason. Yeah, I keep running into that. Is it? Do we have an update on the Lacey Act? Speaking of which,
Nothing yet.
yeah,
It's still in committee.
great. Well, I mean, I guess people are all excited about something else today, so we'll just leave that one alone. Hey,
Right.
Mel, I know, right?
Ariana wants to know what hardscape is.
Let why don't you tell her while I find examples?
It's expensive.
Oh, now.
If you get it from the
Hardscape,
store, it's expensive.
yeah, hardscape is anything that you put in the tank that is not alive.
Yeah, that's a pretty good definition.
Like
Yeah,
rocks,
yeah.
sticks, figurines, any kind
Oh,
of decoration.
wrong one. Um, we'll remove that one. My bad.
Kevin is bagging leaves on vacation.
And I'm sharing a different one. Sorry, guys. I've fallen in love with this StreamYard because it looks fun. It's actually a lot of
Huh.
fun to play with. All right, here we go.
Gina is saying a lot of state parks where you can camp, you have to bring your own firewood.
Yes,
You can't
yes,
collect wood to burn.
that's
You have
correct.
to take with you what you do not use, I guess.
Yes,
What you don't use.
there's a state park right around the corner, and I absolutely cannot take anything from there. And you know what? And I don't want to because I live in the big city, and I know that if you get this, with a huge population that we have, just one of it's just one. but if everybody has that,
One
oh,
times a
just
million,
one,
yeah.
yeah. And so that's the, that's what you get when you get highly popular or densely populated areas. And that's actually been a big problem in all across the state of Texas, because we've got an influx of, we've got an influx of folks coming in from California. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I Melted Butter says, old dresser, nightstand, free aquarium stands for me. Do you mind if I comment on that, Father Fish?
Go for it.
Okay. I had this a secretary desk that I put a 20-gallon long on there, and over time I noticed that this desk started. It wasn't built for a huge volume of water or the weight of the water, and so it started the furniture itself, even if it's old, started deteriorating over time. And so all I got to say, if you're going to go for an old dresser or a nightstand, just make sure it can carry the weight, and just make sure that all of the that the entire aquarium bottom is on something solid, so that it the weight is equally balanced on all parts of it, because that's also a really good way to crack the bottom of your tank.
Yeah, that's true. T-Bone got a large green tiger barb.
Ooh.
Woke up this morning and it's gone. Can't find it in the tank. No idea what happened. Well, I tell you, T-Bone, if it died, I have seen.
Woo! There goes your background.
I've seen carcasses disappear completely in 15 minutes. So it doesn't take long. Everything eats a dead fish. Everything.
They'll start eating at it before it's dead. They know when it's about around the corner.
Yeah, if it's passing, right.
But on a side note, I had a 90p aquarium, so it's about 48 gallons or so, and all it had was a couple of bags of pumice, just to act as a mound so I could do some aquascaping. And I had an angelfish in there, and for 3 days I couldn't find that angelfish. I swore that it jumped out and my cat ate it and it ran away. That was the only thing in that tank. There was no dirt, nothing. It was just a placeholder for this angelfish. He was a jerk. 3 days later, he shows up. I have no idea where he was. I looked. I moved every bag, and he's Houdini. So sometimes the fish will show up. Just keep your hopes up. Maybe.
I would also check around the tank just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in case. Melted. So T-Bone, I hope you find your fish, and I hope he's still alive.
The skeleton would be eaten too.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'd like to add a 3/8 plywood. Oh, yep. He knows. Who am I talking about? This is the fish fan. They all know the tricks. They know all the tricks about reinforcing tanks. Yeah. I don't know, T-Bone. I don't know. I'm, check around. How big is this tank? Actually, I'm curious. That'll happen, Ariana. Verily says, if you have a pleco in there, T-Bone, my pleco dragged dead fish in his cave. Why does that give me such an image of those classic monster movies where they go out and they grab something and they drag it back in?
Right.
It's quite the visual. Oh, and Scott suggests that if there's paw prints in the glass and a missing fish, there's your solution right there, or there's your answer.
Who is
right
Aldino MCT?
Oh, I don't know. Unless it's, I don't know. Hi, Aldino.
Huh.
Okay.
Saying hello, sis.
Yeah. Verily says he doesn't
Got
like
some paw prints in the glass and a missing fish. There you go.
Guys, talk amongst yourselves. I need to put this baby up. She's it's her bedtime and she's sleepy. So, I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves, folks. Talk amongst yourselves.
Leonard, nice to have you with us.
It's nice to be here. You know, the dirted tank portion of our hobby it's small.
It is small.
We're an incredible subset, and I don't know why more people don't get into dirted tanks.
Well, I'll tell you, I've been talking with a few people who are committed to it, and we're going to try to do something about that. We're going to come together as a team and see if we can't really begin to reach out and impact the fish fam, the millions of people on YouTube who keep fish, with the concept, because it's not out there. Mm-hmm. Most people who keep fish on YouTube have no knowledge at all of what we're doing and how phenomenally successful it is.
I guess most people, when it comes to YouTube content, I guess the hard thing with a dirted tank is that it's a permanent fixture. I mean, you don't go rescaping.
Exactly right. You don't
go rescaping dirted tanks.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think, you know, Foo the Flower Horn had a good direction with his. He just followed one tank for years, and people were fascinated with, you know, shrimp eating, you know, blanched zucchini. And he had a good direction with that and brought a lot of people into fish keeping. But with, you know, when you compare it to, you know, like you were talking about MD or Serpa or Green Aqua or whatever it is, all those scaping channels, you know, they can use the same tank 100 times and they just dump it out and then start all over again.
That's exactly right.
That's the hard part is someone that's trying to produce content for YouTube. You know, it's not conducive for it. So
whitefish salad dirted on my tanks. Kevin Rosenberg never set up another tank that isn't dirted. I mean, you know, it's those who are doing it are committed to it.
Craig is saying that he might try it as he struggles with plants. I recommend it. It's been the most successful way for me to be able to keep plants.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's favorite type of goldfish. I think most people don't have a favorite goldfish. Good Mother was on earlier.
There's this guy on YouTube, Luke's Goldies. I kind of follow him in and out a little bit, but he had this one pearl scale goldfish he called Little Dumpy. Oh my God, I want one now. Little Dumpy died apparently, but it was just the dumbest, cutest little. He looked like a golf ball, and he couldn't swim very well. It's one of those fancy goldfish that are just so. I mean,
just bred in uselessness.
Gary's fish room. Will the smell go away?
Yeah.
Gary, I don't have a smell. If you have a smell, you probably have not capped your tank adequately with sand, and that dirt is getting into the water column.
Cyanobacteria?
Could be anything. It just, well, it's decaying matter. But there should not be any smell.
44 gallon.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying T-Bone's been looking for this fish for 4 hours.
Huh.
I mean, you can look all you wanted. I told you, I literally flipped over. There were only 6 bags of this to help build up volume in the tank. And it was pre-planning for any of the scaping ideas. And I moved all the bags. I moved every fixture in the tank. There's nothing in the tank. It's an empty tank with clear walls. And I couldn't find one angelfish. And it was a palm-sized angelfish.
How does that happen? I don't understand.
I don't get it. Just
they can hide in a corner.
And they can just look straight at you and you don't see them, especially if they're a silver angel.
It's
I
a
feel-
linear thing.
It makes me feel like they're plotting against us or something.
They're little
Really
aliens. I love them.
funny stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Scott
But
was
no,
asking what percent of the what's the percent of the deep substrate world? As far as dirted tanks go, at least here in Missouri, in the Missouri Aquarium Society here, there's probably 3 people that do dirted tanks out of probably 500 or 600 members.
Yeah, I would say 1% or less,
Mhm.
realistically. So we got a long way to go.
it needs
We
to be
just got to
more
get more tanks.
popular. I mean, I was, you know, it's interesting some of the things you were talking about, debug. Because do you mind if I call you debug instead of Leonard? Or I mean, I could call you
Either
Elon.
one's
Or D. Snyder. At this point, I'm like, I'm wondering what other creative names that people are going to come up with for you.
Yeah.
But you know, when you were talking earlier about getting into fish and some of the things you wanted to create, but also some of the motivations that, or like the parameters in which you discussed, in which you wanted to, you know, go about doing this. I feel you. You know, I absolutely feel you. It is low maintenance. You want something pretty, you want something natural, but you don't want to have to do too much to accomplish it. And I mean, you're right up my alley with that. And then you start naming some of these folks, like Foo the Flower Horn. I mean, I'd love to get that guy up here one of these days. I mean, I want to know.
Yeah. And, you know, when it comes to it, a lot of people get tempted when they look at these absolutely stunning aquascapes. And I'll say, you know what?
Ew.
If you want to go down that route of really scaping things out, get a dirted tank, grow out things, breed things in it, sell the trimmings, save up a couple $1,000s, right? And literally, I spent probably $3,000 of stuff that I got for free from my dirted tanks,
Right.
building out a CO2 injected setup in a really nice rimless tank from ADA, and I had high power lighting, and I had the best substrate. I had Fluval stratum, and I dusted it with all this other junk underneath. And guess what? I was fighting every single week. Algae and diatoms, and just it was a nightmare. And you don't want to do that. You'll do it once and you'll say, wow, that's great. I'm gonna go back to, you know, that Corvette was really cool, but I'm gonna go back to my nice Corolla that'll keep on chugging on forever.
Oh, don't say Corolla. At least go for an SUV or a truck or something. Something with a little bit more horsepower. Everybody knows you need a guy with a truck. You know, it's interesting. I was looking at Aquascaping magazine, and actually, you know, I wanted to be able to create something pretty, and I do. I just, you know, I want the natural ecosystem, you know, the low maintenance, but I really want to create something pretty. And so, you know, I try to play with different parameters, but it's much easier when you start with something that's more or less self-sustaining. It makes the maintenance so much easier. But you know, so I was flipping through a magazine the other day. It was showing some of the beautiful aquascaping that was being in, that was, you know, I guess there was contests and stuff like that. And I don't know, maybe my eye has gotten more trained for a wild natural system, but I felt that it was almost too manicured, some of these scapes.
Yeah, the Iwagumi style is very sterile, and then there's the wild types. But even better for a dirted substrate, if you want to do dirted and you want to do aquascaping, look up Dutch style tanks.
I want to try that.
Dutch style tanks, it's just the beautiful growth of all these different wonderful colors, and you have them terraced in these little pockets. Everything is individualized, but you get all the plants in the world, and you can scape it out, and you don't need these giant pieces of wood or these bare patches of barren nothingness. You can actually have a dirted scaped tank. It can look nice.
I think that'll be my next attempt. Although I still want to do a biotope. I still want to do a beautiful black water. You know, I think I want to try brackish someday. That would be interesting. And honestly, I was looking at Gina's, sorry, my computer. I was looking at Gina's coral reef tank, and now I want to, like, the, you know, aesthetically, the corals that are tank were just so beautifully they were just so gorgeous, the way they were lined out and the way the colors were put together, and the depth of the colors of and the way the balance was. And now I want to try coral.
That'll make you crazy.
As opposed to what I am now.
Play with a Dutch style tank and then start spending $75 to $200 on a little crumble of coral to grow out.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be there yet for many years.
Really?
Yeah, but yeah, I think the next, I accidentally created a blackwater environment when I was cycling this one tank. It turned the water completely. It was just the hardscape and water. I wanted to make sure it wouldn't like float. Turned it completely black. But then when I, I do want to try I think the next project is going to be I'm going to intentionally create a blackwater environment and sustain it, and see what.
I'll tell you a good way to do it. If you can find a rotted softwood trunk.
Rotted softwood trunk.
Yeah, tree trunk. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not azalea bushes.
That will deteriorate in your tank. That'll give you the darkest blackwater you can have. And it'll be really effective for the fauna.
Well, my son goes to Boy Scout camp, overnight Boy Scout camp. In about 3 weeks, I will talk to him and his troop leader, and I will show him pictures and tell him to keep a lookout. Hey, Naresh! Shout out to Naresh.
Another good one is oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Naresh is in Sri Lanka. His family lives outside. They're not near the big city. Sri Lanka is really having a lot of serious crises, food shortages. Now they've run out of fuel. So there's a big push to get bicycles. The price of bicycles has gone up to about $200. But his family is safe. They're in a little village. They're well established and they're doing okay. I am considering trying to put together a fundraiser to provide resources to Naresh's family for them to be able to support others in their community. I do send money every month to Naresh, to his family. So if anybody wants to participate in that, just send designated gift to through PayPal, the fatherfish at fatherfish.net. Designate it for Sri Lanka, and I'll be sure to get it there.
Yeah, I heard Sri Lanka, they're even having paper shortages, so they canceled all exams for students.
No, that's
Woo-hoo!
right.
They had to shut down schools.
Yeah.
They don't have paper.
Oh man, that's like twofold. Like, this is horrible, but hey, you get out of a test. Woohoo!
Well, then mom and dad are stuck with kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, economic collapse. That's exactly right.
It's a total economic collapse. Okay, so I have tried alder cones, and that's what turned it black, and leaf litter, Kevin. I have this idea for blackwater, and that is because I'm not going to be growing really anything on the soil per se. I would be using plants that would be like anubis or possibly, like stuff that doesn't require a lot of roots. The substrate, would I be able to use something like a mixture of sand and thick humus, all throughout this sand layer, but not actually use soil, not actually use dirt per se, but really have more of a mixture of the humus and the sand and the leaf litter? Would that, what are your thoughts on that?
Interesting.
Especially since there's not going to be getting a lot of light.
In 6 months to a year, you'll have a dirt layer because the humus will break down. That's what soil is. Soil is broken down humus.
Oh, so I might as well just get the process started then. You know, have a
Yeah.
little bit of soil, have a little bit of humus, and just like at the end of the day,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
okay,
But
all right.
psychum, bet psychum,
Mhm.
Jocelyn Tugs. Hello. Nice to have you with us.
Hi,
Are you
Garcia.
Indian?
Okay.
Are you
Leaf
from
litter.
India, Bud Psychum? Vinotsky is here. Hey, Vinotsky.
Oh, debug. When you were using that analogy of a Corolla versus a Corvette, Chris makes a very good point. I mean, if you're going to go for a plain vehicle, you got to have room in your vehicle.
Oh, there's that, but
Yeah. Oh, somebody asked last week about it was Dr. Fresh. She asked because for instead of humus or peat moss, um, could you use cocoa fiber? But it's saltier. But could you use cocoa fiber instead?
Yeah, any kind of organic material will work.
Mm-hmm.
one dark water aquarium idea I've been playing around with. Are you guys familiar with sweet gum trees? They
Actually,
produce those little spiky balls.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
right.
Thousands of them. Well, I've got one in my yard, and it just produces just thousands, and they're a nightmare to rake up. But they do sell them online for shrimp habitats. So if you have aggressive fish, since they have little tiny holes inside of them and
Oh,
they're
that's
spiky,
cool. Yep.
you create a shrimp biome and a fish biome that can exist in pure dark water.
Very cool.
Oh, so you're saying you have a bunch of these?
I do have a bunch. I'm more than happy to send. You know what? If you want to come by with a truck and get as many as you'd like, I can fill up hundreds of gallons of totes of them. It's
That's funny.
You hear that, Gina? Gina, he's right in your backyard, Gina.
yeah. So
So,
just for sweet gum though, do not use. If anybody does have sweet gum trees, do not use any of the branches. The bark is that's where they extract the active component for Tamiflu, so that will poison your fish.
okay, so
Ahead.
you just want what is grind? Malaysian, I get Malaysian driftwood, but what is grind?
He's grinding the driftwood.
Oh, grind into your own substrate.
A lot of work.
Yeah, that does sound like a lot of work. um, slow plants are once it sparks, it's awesome, but it's slow. Plants epiphyte.
Oh, so like Anubias.
Oh, and yeah. Well, I'm thinking Anubias, but what other plants could you put into a blackwater tank?
Java fern.
Oh, you know what works really well is any of the Aponogetans.
The
bulb plants.
The bulb plants.
Oh yeah, any of the lilies would work well because they can get their light directly from the top.
Oh, so like my Madagascar lace, and I've got a bunch of those. I've got a bunch of those bulbs.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. I need more
That's
tanks.
their natural environment.
Words that my husband never wants me to say. I need more tanks.
Right.
I take my time with creating I have my plant tanks, I have this or that, but I want to be able to, when I'm focused on creating some sort of beautiful work of art, and it's an ecosystem work of art, each stage, and that's part of the process for each stage that I like for the substrate, I could take like over a week for it. I could take up to a month to work out the hardscape and like try to visualize what I want, but be able to put it into, and then there's a ton of research. And even before even getting started and all that, I'm already researching what possible different dynamics, how to address this, how to address that. For example, the plants as well. I'm thinking about that. What kind of plants could I put it in with that? Then how could I pair it with the hardscape? And I mean, for me, that's the rush, or that's the fun part. And then I put it together and I get to enjoy it for a while. And then all of a sudden I have an explosion of plant growth. And I'm like, okay, I can't throw these out.
Bateson, nice to see you, Bateson. Thank you, Melted Butter. That's very kind.
Yes. So Kevin's also suggesting crypts, lilies, Amazon swords. Amazon swords.
Yep, all good.
Yeah, I can do. I definitely do the floater. I could definitely get the floaters part. I'm just overwhelmed with floaters.
I guess you could do a paludarium as well, where it's black water on the bottom and then something more exciting on top, and do a musk turtle inside.
Oh yeah, because those I've heard those musk turtles are very small.
Yep, they say about 4 inches, so you can even do like a 29-gallon paludarium, and it'll work out okay.
Very cool. Would a musk turtle prefer to be in dark water?
Yeah, they tend to stay in the mud.
Okay.
They vary. They're wholly aquatic.
Mm-hmm.
And they will go down into the substrate.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, I have obviously a lizard. I'd love to be able to look into axolotls, but that's a little bit more difficult when you live in Texas and you need to keep the water temperature.
Yeah, temperature is a problem. Yeah,
temperature is a problem, and I'm not ready to spend money on a chiller. Sorry, y'all.
You can use a little tiny refrigerator and run a water line coiled through the freezer section with a little pump on it.
I've looked at that.
It works brilliantly.
Yeah, I even looked at potentially keeping a canister filter inside the little mini fridge, and just not actually put filter media in it, but just have. Well, I think actually the more coils you have, the longer it takes to cool. But again, it's a matter of it. Where do I put it? It's bulky.
I was told that if you have a fan blowing directly on the surface of the water, it drops it by 10 degrees.
Exactly. I know, but I don't want a fan. Okay. Because it's ugly looking.
You also get a lot of evaporation. Yes. Listen, guys, we need to make way for Lucas. He's up in about 1 minute.
All right, and I'll be heading out now. I gotta drive home and take care of the kiddos. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's been a delight, Elon, and I hope to see more of you soon. I like Elon Musk better than the D. Snyder one.
Yeah, we're gonna be having. So I'm looking. This Lucas is up. I don't see him.
If Elon was a chiropractor, he'd be you.
Oh, well.
We're gonna be meeting live on Discord. Any of you who are deeply committed to Substrate are welcome to join our conflagration. We're going to start putting together a team and see if we can't begin to impact the fish web.
Yeah.
So join us over on Discord.
Yes. Lucas is up, by the way. He's not up. His live stream, people are waiting for it, but so he will be live streaming.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll see you all later. Take care. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Care. Bye, Leonard.
Bye. Oh, yeah. I don't know where you found him, but I love him.
He's great. Well, I found him on Discord.
I love the dynamics on there. It's the community is really growing. There's a young lady on there that I want to bring up. She was a little bit tired tonight. She's 17 and she's setting up her first dirted tank. So that's something to.
Right.
I'd like to, I'd like to have that. I'd love to have somebody like that come on up and show us what she's got, and maybe we can give her some pointers. Give her, and I just. We would be privileged to come in on her journey.
Amen. EJ, nice to have you.
Thank you. Nice to have you.
Great to be with you, everybody. We had a bunch of new people come in tonight. Had a good time. We're at 34, 35. We'll probably hit about 40. We'll be back Sunday evening. EJ and I are going to do a video this weekend. Something that will be gangbusters.
Trying something new. That's what we're all about.
I'm absolutely sure. You bet. So making way for Lucas. Good night, everybody. Delighted to be with you. Thanks for popping in. And we'll see you Sunday night, 6 o'clock with Mary Page. Bye for now.